waste and waste management.
The geology of the Earth can be seen from space. Right here is Hoover Dam, blocking the Colorado River, and Lake Mead right behind it. Here's another example, Great Wall of China from about 200 miles up. As can be seen, even though this is several thousand miles long, very difficult to change the geology itself. Civilization is even defined by the geology. As you can see, the United States on the left, this is at night. You see many of the larger cities. And as we go up farther out west, where there's few people living, less lights. On the right, we have North and South Korea. South Korea, which has a democracy, has not much of a higher capital, more people living there, and that's why it's lit up at night. North Korea is the black spot. Above North Korea is China. You see, North Korea is very poor. They have to turn off their electricity at night because there's such limited capital there. The Van Allen radiation belts are actually created by the magnetism inside the Earth of our liquid iron and nickel. It creates a magnetic field, protects us from the sun's radiation. The Earth is composed of 4 major layers. The crust, which is what we live on, goes about 8 miles deep. The mantle, below that. The outer core, which is liquid, and the inner core, where it creates the magnetic field, which is actually solid. The crust moves across the mantle slowly, and where the plates collide with ocean plates and land plates, continental crust versus oceanic crust, those are called subduction zones, and this is commonly where volcanoes, earthquakes, and tidal waves are created. The asthenosphere is the outer part of the mantle and actually is between 1400 and 3000 degrees Celsius. If you've ever been in a mine, once you go past 3 miles, it actually starts getting warmer, and this is the reason why. These are all the plate tectonics throughout the world, all slowly rubbing against each other. The largest one is the Pacific Plate, which goes from Japan down to Australia, then across the western seaboard of North America and South America. It's also called the Ring of Fire. Most volcanoes and earthquakes occur throughout the world. Where these plates rub up against each other are called subduction zones. And this is what causes volcanoes, earthquakes, said before. And it's moving because of the heat of the mantle. It is kind of very viscous where the crust moves on top of it. Interestingly, the San Andreas Fault in California is not part of the North American plate. It's actually part of the Pacific Plate. And that line separates by about 3 centimeters every year. Almost non-discernible, but in about 50 million years, that part of California will recede from the rest of California and leave. There are 3 types of rocks throughout our Earth: igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. Igneous are created from volcanoes and the subduction zones. Sedimentary is from sediment, literally settling usually from the ocean or sand. And metamorphic is rocks that are being modified from the plate tectonics. There are literally thousands of minerals, which is really what make up rocks, and they can tell the difference by them by these various properties, such as how hard it is, the hardest being the diamond, the softest being talc, color, how it breaks apart, which is cleavage and crystal shape, how it fractures, and even properties. Is it magnetic? Is it fluorescent? Is it radioactive? What makes minerals different are all the different elements that are within it: iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, other things, and these vary in trace amounts. That's what makes each mineral slightly unique. However, the most common thing within all minerals is oxygen and silicon. Geology also has many economic purposes. This is the amount of iron, aluminum, magnesium, copper, and nickel that is produced annually throughout the world. Majority of iron goes through building as well as automobiles. Non-metals also make up a significant importance of our minerals that we use. People think of gemstones such as diamonds and precious metals. However, more importantly, sand and gravel, which goes to our roads, our buildings, almost everything we're living on right now. Limestone also used for buildings. Evaporates, this is gypsum. Salt. Gypsum is used for particle board, wallboard. And sulfur, which we use in car batteries. One of the biggest problems with mining is environmental effects, especially from open pit or strip mining. Not so much that they do none of that, but it very little is done to replace the vegetation afterwards, causing erosion. Finally, as you may have heard of fracking, which is short for fracturing, oil comes up naturally because of the pressure of the earth above it. It's been there for millions of years. However, when the pressure decreases, it won't come up. First, they'll pump water into it, trying to increase the pressure. After that, what they do is a process called fracking. They simply explode the shaft around it. That caves everything in, creating more pressure, and more oil comes back out. That's why a lot of our oil prices have gone down and not needing as much from the Middle East.